everyone. We're back for day 4 of our workshop. And like I promised, I haven't touched this painting since yesterday, even though I was really tempted to. This workshop has been a little bit about style and a little bit about just watching me paint. And what I've done is at the beginning of each video, I've given you just a little tip or a little nugget of information that has to do with finding your style, and we've come at it from the angle of what finding your style is not. So the first day of the workshop was Tuesday, and we talked about that finding your art style is not about always having ideas. On day 2, we talked about how it is, what did we talk about? Hang on. How it is not being fearless all the time. I had to get my notes. Hi everyone, I'm glad you're here. And on Thursday, yesterday, we talked about that finding your style is not just having one way that you paint forever and you never change, you never do anything different. Well, today, our little nugget of information before we start on our painting is that finding your art style is not just having original ideas in your head and you don't pull from anything or anyone. You have no influence at all from outside of your own head. And I think this is probably the biggest misconception that I see my students and other people in general from the internet, because that's where I do most of my idea pulling and research. But I think this is probably the biggest misconception that there is. And a lot of times people think that when you create original or unique or whatever you want to call it, art in your style, that you've got to come up with something completely detached from anything outside of your own mind, your own imagination, and that is super hard. It doesn't have to be that hard. Basically, before I started this video, I was looking at this painting. I'm just going to give you my perspective. I was looking at this painting and thinking about things I want to delete, things that I want to change about it. And then I got on Pinterest and I was scrolling and just looking at flower arrangements, photographs, pictures of other paintings, vintage graphics, a lot of different things for inspiration. And that is okay. When you find your style or your way of painting, the things that you like, it's going to be full of inspiration from your world, your experience, your classes that you've taken. Actually, I wrote this down. You will be influenced by other people, by other artists, by culture, by your world, and by trends. So depending on what kind of artist you are, you may need to look at what is trendy to see what you need to work on next. You can look at a trend board, for example. Someone may put together, if you have a licensing agency that you're working for, they may, if you're a licensed artist, they may send you something called a trend board. And it's going to be basically a bunch of pictures of paintings that are very trendy right now and sell really well in big stores. And so they're going to want you to look at that, see what those trends are, but then take your own ideas and put them together and create a painting that is somewhat similar to those trends. So this is the big one. This is the last finding your art style is not tip that I wanted to give you in this workshop, and that is you don't have to be so original that you're not influenced by other people, by other artists, by things around you, by what's trending in stores, things like that, because all of that is okay. What's not okay is for you to copy something that is let's use an artist from the past like Van Gogh. If you were to take Starry Night and paint it exactly like he did, and then put it out into the world and say, this is my original painting, that is when it becomes plagiarism and not originality or uniqueness. But if you wanted to use something that is influenced by the way that he painted, then that's totally different. You can use ideas that he had, or colors that he used, or the way that he put down paint. That's totally fine. And that's influence. And that is okay. All right, so let's get started on this painting. And I'm going to move my camera back a little bit because I can't really see the whole thing if I don't. All right, let's move it up a little. And I know that my sweater is all raggedy and some of the some of the loops are coming loose. I don't know what you call that, but it's my favorite sweater, so I'm just going to wear it anyway. And I'm probably going to get paint on it, so it doesn't matter. Also, I wanted to tell you guys that the course is still available for you at the early bird price through Monday. Today is, what is today? Today's Friday if you're watching the replay later. So if you're interested, I'll put the link below and you guys can head over. The course is still going to be available. When I say the course, if you've been watching me all week, then you know that this workshop is sort of a little kickoff for my new course that is called Beyond the Brush. And it is it's a course that helps you to develop your own unique art style. So right now it is $47, and after Monday it'll be $57, but it'll still be available. So the short period of time that you have between now and then is just to get the early bird price. But if you're watching this 3 months from now, you can still get the course. It's just not going to be at the early bird price. Okay, so if you guys have questions while I'm here, you can of course ask them. If I don't see them in time while we're painting, then I'll come back and answer them later. But first of all, let's look at what we have here from yesterday. And right off the bat, I can see I've got way too much of the filler in here, and I need bigger leaves. I even said that. Like the first day when I started, I said, I think my leaves need to be bigger to match the size of these flowers. And then I kept painting small leaves. So that is what I'm going to work on today. And to go along with our little nugget of information at the beginning of the video, when I was looking online at different trends, I know that moody vintage art is very popular right now. So dark backgrounds, florals that are in sort of a muted color palette, all that is popular and trendy, which is good because that's what I like to paint anyway. But as I was looking, I could see that a lot of them were more simplified. It's not really busy. So that's what I want to do here. Is I'm going to take my black paint again, and I'm going to delete some of the busyness, and then we're going to put in some bigger green leaves, and then we'll take a look at it and see what we think after that. So I'm just going to jump in there and go for it. So I'm going for a more simplified look. A little bit cleaner and not so busy. And I'm going to look in it's kind of like taking a picture of it. If I look in my camera, I can see things better. than when I'm actually looking at the painting. So that's already looking cleaner down there. And I want to leave some of this, but I just feel like I've got a little bit too much of it. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of a little bit of this over here. And there's so much texture on this canvas that I have to almost scrub the paint in there to get it down in all those little crevices. And someone asked on yesterday's video, how do you get all this texture? And honestly, I like to paint on a smoother surface than what this is. This is a huge canvas that I just keep here in my studio, and I remodel it or redo it occasionally, and it's been painted over so many times that now it has a ton of texture, which can be good or bad depending on what you like, but it makes it harder for you to paint a smooth stroke of paint. Okay, so that's already looking a lot better to me. It may or may not look better to you. I think I want to get rid of this leaf right here. Another thing that I noticed when I was looking just online is that a lot of paintings that I was looking at had some margin around the outside edge. The paintings didn't go all the way to the edge, and so I'm going to clean up some of my edges, and I think it'll make it a little more breathable, if that makes sense. Hi, Peggy. Okay. So just having a little bit of extra space. That margin just helps it to look less cluttered, maybe. So there's also, like, if you're doing graphic art, or maybe you're on Canva and you're making some sort of little promotional type marketing photo, and you're going to add text, having some margin around those edges will make it look much better. And so it only makes sense that it's the same with a painting and with artwork. You want to have a little bit of some empty space in there, almost like so your eyes can rest. Because when you're looking at something that's super busy and goes all the way out to the edges of everything, and it's covered in all kinds of chaos, I guess that'll bring a certain kind of energy, but that's not the kind of energy that I like to look at. So with my paintings, I like for them to have a more calming effect, maybe. So that's what I'm going for here. And given that little bit of margin, it kind of does that for you. Okay, so I think I've cleaned up what I want to clean up with the abundance of baby's breath that I had yesterday. And now I'm going to add a few more bigger leaves, or maybe even make the leaves that I already have a little bit bigger, because right now if these are supposed to be roses, rose leaves do not look like that. And so that's okay if you don't care about that kind of thing. But as I was looking online, like I said, I was looking for inspiration. I noticed that the leaves on the rose paintings don't look like that. The ones on the peony paintings do. But these are supposed to be roses. So we're going to make them a little bit bigger and a little bit different shape. And I think that I can just build on the ones that are already there and make them bigger. And that's going to help pull it all together. So I don't know if you've noticed or not, but we've done a lot of adding and then taking away. And then we add something else and then we take it away. And so that addition and deletion is just kind of part of my own process. So let's see what we can come up with. We definitely need a leaf right here. Because see, this is a very, very blank spot. And I need more paint than that. Your leaf doesn't have to be a perfect shape, but it needs to be somewhat believable. Okay, and so that size is much better for the size of the flower that we've got here. And so these down here seem to be okay, but this one right here is definitely small. Let's see. Oh, and I'm using cadmium yellow and Mars black and a little bit of titanium white to make these leaves. And I'm just going to go back and forth and look at my camera, look at the canvas. I need a little more blackness, I think. Right, and for the most part, my my leaves just need to be a little more on the round shape side. But some of them can be, all wonky. So I'm just going to get the basic bigger shapes. Let's see, we need to put something right here. And this one needs to be much bigger. So I'll get them in there and then we'll go back and put in some lighter or darker values. Okay, so this is already looking better. I need to make that one a little bigger. And maybe make one that overlaps. Let's see. Something like that. All right. So let's get back this way a little bit. And now these these leaves match up with the size of the flowers much better. And it gives me more filler, and it gives you a little bit of something that's there, but it's not something that is pulling your eyes to compete with the flowers. So now we just need to work on some values in those leaves and give it a little bit of some darks and some lights. And I think this one is going to be pretty much done. So I'll bring you in so you can see a little. I'm trying to do this gingerly so you can see a little closer, and I'll work on adding some different values in here. So I'm just using a flat brush and dipping into my black and then my yellow, and that'll give me a dark green. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of dark green in here. I don't want to add too much. I think we need to work on our buds a little bit more too. But just putting a little bit of something dark is gonna really help. You don't have to really, it doesn't have to be super realistic. Just the general shape, a little bit of light, a little bit of dark. Now see, this one is coming in front because I made it lighter and I painted over this little stem back here. I need to go back and work on those little leaves a little. I don't know if you can still see what I'm doing down here. Move it back again. It's sort of a challenge to record myself doing something on this big a scale. And there can be some areas where you just make random shapes. They don't have to look exactly like a leaf, but then you can put something on top of it that does look more like a leaf, and it makes it all more believable. So let's do, can you see that? Let me see. Get my camera to move down. Okay, there we go. Like down here at the bottom, these are not necessarily all separated, but if I put something really light on top, then that looks more defined. There's still leaves underneath, but if you know what I'm saying. Okay. I'm just going to define some of these stems a little bit. And I'm going to get out a little bit of this burnt sienna, and we're going to work on the buds that I made. Was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday. So there's one right here. It needs to be defined a little more. And there's one up here. You can barely see it all. And then there's one down here, but we're just going to leave it alone. I'm going to add a little bit more white to this one right here. Okay, so let's stand back and take a look and see. Sorry about the movement. That was very shaky. Okay, so there's what we've ended up with this week. And it's really big, see? This is a giant canvas. But I think I'm happy with it. but it took some changes, some trying things. It took looking up some inspiration myself and experimenting. So I hope that this in combination with the little bit of the helpful tips that I've given you this week will help you to see more about what it means to find your style as an artist, more about the process that you need to take yourself, and hopefully if you're interested in the new course, that will be something that will be helpful, even more helpful to us. Have any questions? If you've asked me any while I've been working, thank you all for your sweet comments about the painting. I'm not seeing. Thank you for the stars, Beverly. Let's see. If you have asked a question and I didn't answer it, you can ask it again now, and I will do my best to answer it. It's kind of dark and dreary today. We got a lot of rain going on. I think it's going to rain tomorrow too. But let's try to move this over so that I'm not in the dark. Thank you, Teresa. Let's see. And so this is going to hang here in my studio. And this is kind of just what I do. I paint something, then I get tired of it, or I learn something new, and so I want to try it, and so I paint it again, and I've painted over this. First it was, First it was a bouquet of flowers on a table, and then I've painted several faces, like a girl with flowers around her, or different things. It's been several different girl paintings. What else has it been? It was just a floral of different kinds of flowers. It's been lots of different things. And there's some lace right here. There's lots of paper on there. So many things. Let's see. Tammy says, is it okay to practice what other artists do until we find our style? Yes, totally. There's a difference in going into something as a practice piece and just outright copying someone with ill intent. Do you know what I mean? If it's the same as writing, we practice writing as students. We read good literature. We practice writing ourselves. When I was teaching our kids, homeschooling our kids, they did something called copy work. So we would take just snippets of really good literature, and that's what they would copy for the day, and it would help them to build up their vocabulary and their punctuation and just sentence structure and what the techniques of writing. And then once they did a lot of copy work and copied a lot of great authors, then it helped them to create their own essays or papers or just speaking. And it's the same with art. Copying to learn is fine. That's how we learn. And if you've never looked at my artist flight path, that's it gives you a view of what it means to go from copying to learn to feeling like you're making original work that's unique and different. And so that's something that I can give you a link to that. You can download and look at it. And that is my artist flight path goes from, there's 4 different bird levels. There's the parrot, who is copying to learn, the sparrow, who is beginning to experiment and wanting to try new things. Then the hummingbird is trying to find their favorite things and their style and weeding through all of the different things that they could try. And then the bluebird level is where you're doing what you really enjoy. Doesn't mean you're not going to start over again with a different medium or venture out into a different direction, but you're confident and you know all the things you need to know to make work that's unique, that can be monetized or shown as your original pieces of work. And that is also included in the Beyond the Brush course. You'll get that download, and you'll also get a download that is 25 different art prompts to help you if you're having trouble coming up with ideas. What can I paint? How can I make something that's different? There's a download for you with 25 ideas. Let's see. To make the burnt sienna more of a blush, what color pink paint would you recommend mixing it with? I did not mix it with pink. I mixed it with some white. So the burnt sienna and titanium white is what I've used on these flowers. I did put a little bit of some yellow ochre in there sometimes, but not really very much of it at all. Let's see. Thank you, Patricia. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Teresa. And you're welcome, Tammy. I think that copying to learn is something that a lot of people get nervous about, but they shouldn't be, because that's what the purpose of what you're doing is. So there's, like I said, there's a difference between copying something to learn a technique, or learn how to mix certain colors, or learn how to create something using certain layers. You've got to copy something to learn how to do it. And then once you have figured that out, then you can start making your own choices. And that's when all of the originality kind of comes in. And it's explained even more in the course. And I help you to pull ideas from yourself before you start looking at other people. And if you've taken any of my classes before where I've helped you with style, this course has some similarities, but I do go about it a little bit differently in this one. So there are 2 videos in each module, and there are four modules. The first video, I'm talking to you, explaining things, and then the second video, I'm giving you an assignment or something to do to help you. Let's see, the first module is about experimenting and trying new things, and we put together your own toolkit using your favorite, whatever it is that you like to do. And then the second module is about, let me just grab my paper here. The second module is hang on. How to look into this about self-reflection and how to find things within yourself before you look outside of yourself. And I give you activities to do to help you with that. And then the next module is looking at other artists and their work and how you can pull and be inspired by them without outright copying. And then we talk about authenticity in the 4th module, and challenges and how to keep going. Let's see. Lynn says, how long are the modules? These videos are super short. So the entire course, if you wanted to watch all of it at one time, you could finish watching all the videos in an hour. But there are 4 modules with assignments for each module. So it's not something that you can just do one time and it's done. It's something that you can do multiple times. You can go back through it and do it again. The assignments that I'm giving you to do are going to be what takes you the most time. So watching the videos will not take very much time. The ideas that are there are going to be super helpful, but not super long. And we all have problems with having enough time, right? So I made the videos in the modules short, but to the point. I give you an assignment, and that's when you can take as long as you want to do those assignments. And when I say assignments, it sounds not so fun, but these are fun activities that you can do that's going to help you with finding your own thing, your uniqueness. And so you could watch the whole thing within an hour, but the stuff that you're going to do, you're actually going to get your supplies out. You're actually going to make things. That's going to take longer. And it's going to be up to you how long it takes. Okay. Any other questions for me today? Lynn says, you will always have a different look to your paintings than someone else. That's true. So we all could be working on the same. All of you could be painting this along with me, and everyone's will look a little bit different. That is definitely true. So the intention, like I've repeatedly said, the intentions that you have when you go into a class or looking at something online for inspiration, that is not plagiarism. If you're copying it to learn a technique or learn something on your own. But if you were to go online and just say, okay, I want to see what is popular right now, what people are buying, and I'm going to paint something exactly like it, use the same colors, the same technique, the same composition, maybe even print it out and trace the image or something like that without the permission of the artist, then that is what makes it illegal. It's illegal. It's not just morally wrong, but it's illegal. Okay. All right, I think we're going to be done with this workshop for this week, and thanks for being here. Thanks for helping me put this together. I'm going to hang it on the wall, and I'll be looking at it, so hopefully I won't be tempted to go back in there and change things. If I do, I may just do that while it's on the wall, but I will see you guys next time at 2 o'clock. So I will see you next week, and you guys have a great weekend. Bye.